Why are billions of dollars vanishing into thin air in India's business deals? Foreign investors arrive with grand dreams, massive projects, and promises of long-term profits, only to leave with lawsuits, unpaid bills, and bitter losses. Some of the world's biggest corporations, from tech giants to energy firms, have discovered the hard way that doing business in India is far riskier than it looks. And perhaps the most dramatic example comes from China. A billion-dollar project that went from a shining success story to a nightmare of finger-pointing and unpaid contracts. But this isn't just about one company or one deal. It's part of a bigger question. Is India really the land of opportunity it claims to be? Or is it a minefield that keeps pushing foreign investors away? Not too long ago, India was being hailed as the next China, a rising economic giant with a massive young population, endless demand for new infrastructure, and a middle class hungry for growth. For global corporations, this looked like a gold rush. Billions of dollars poured in from the United States, Europe, Japan, and China. The logic was simple: get in early, dominate key sectors, and ride the wave of a nation on its way to becoming a superpower. And nowhere was the rush more intense than in energy. India's factories were buzzing, cities were swelling, and demand for electricity was skyrocketing faster than the country could generate it. Blackouts were routine, entire regions would plunge into darkness for hours, and industrial zones would stall in the middle of production. For investors, this wasn't just a problem. It was an irresistible opportunity. Whoever could solve India's energy crisis stood to make fortunes and gain powerful influence in one of the world's most important markets. To understand the stakes, you need to look at the numbers. Since 2005, electricity consumption in India has grown at nearly 8% every year, one of the fastest rates in the world. The government scrambled to expand capacity, but supply simply couldn't keep up with demand. Even as new plants were added, blackouts and shortages remained common. Picture a booming factory town suddenly shutting down in the middle of the day because the grid collapsed. Imagine entire neighborhoods going dark night after night. This wasn't rare. It was the daily reality for millions. So India opened its doors to foreign partners. The government invited global players to build massive power plants, upgrade the grid, and finally bring stability to the system. Germany, France, Japan, and China all rushed in. These weren't small projects. These were multi-billion-dollar opportunities. For global corporations, it looked like the deal of a lifetime. Among all the opportunities, one project stood out: the Sasson Power Station. This wasn't just another plant. It was designed to be one of the largest coal-fired power stations in India, capable of generating nearly 4,000 megawatts of electricity, enough to supply entire regions and transform India's energy map. France, Germany, and Japan all expressed interest. Their experts crunched the numbers and estimated the project would cost at least $2 billion. Japan, hungry to secure the deal, cut its offer to $1.4 billion, surprising everyone with such an aggressive bid. But then came China. Shanghai Electric, a state-backed engineering giant, stunned the competition by offering to build the entire project for just $1.2 billion. It undercut Japan, crushed the European offers, and won the contract. On paper, this looked like a win-win. India would get a desperately needed power station at a fraction of the cost, while China would gain influence in a strategically vital neighbor. Headlines praised it as a milestone in cooperation between the two Asian powers. For nearly 5 years, Shanghai Electric worked tirelessly to deliver on its promise. The Sasson plant, located in Andhra Pradesh, was massive. 6 giant units, each generating 660 megawatts, came online one by one. By the time it was finished, the facility could supply nearly 2% of India's entire electricity consumption. But here's where things took a shocking turn. Shanghai Electric had shouldered most of the upfront costs itself, spending over $1.2 billion with the understanding that it would be reimbursed once the plant was complete. And by 2019, the plant was operational, delivering power exactly as promised. Yet instead of payment, the Chinese company was met with silence, delays, and then outright denial. Hundreds of millions of dollars in contracted payments were withheld. Even worse, the Indian partner, Sasson Power Limited, turned the tables and filed claims against Shanghai Electric, accusing them of breaches and demanding damages. What was supposed to be a landmark of cooperation had suddenly turned into a high-stakes financial standoff. Shanghai Electric fought back the only way it could, through international arbitration. And at first, it seemed like justice was on their side. Arbitrators ruled that the Chinese company was entitled to the unpaid balance. But instead of settling, the Indian side exploited a loophole. Sasan Power Limited claimed the real responsibility wasn't theirs at all. They pointed to Reliance UK, a foreign guarantor, and insisted that Shanghai Electric should chase them instead. But when the Chinese firm went after Reliance UK, the answer was the exact opposite. We're just guarantors. The responsibility lies with Sasan in India. Each side pointed the finger at the other. Shanghai Electric was trapped in a legal ping-pong game across borders and jurisdictions with no one willing to pay up. What followed was years of lawsuits in Singapore, India, and beyond. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, they did. In 2021, Reliance UK filed a counterclaim, not only refusing to pay, but demanding damages of their own. They accused Shanghai Electric of using substandard equipment and causing operational losses at the plant. For the Chinese side, this was outrageous. The plant was running smoothly, powering millions of homes and factories. Yet suddenly the company that owed money was demanding even more cash. To many observers, this looked less like a genuine complaint and more like a tactic to delay payment indefinitely. And even though India's Mumbai High Court eventually dismissed the counterclaims in 2022, the damage was already done. What should have been a showcase of international cooperation had turned into a messy, drawn-out legal disaster. The Sasan saga wasn't just an isolated incident. It was a symptom of a larger trend that has been driving foreign companies out of India in droves. Over the past 7 years, more than 2,700 foreign firms have shut down operations and left the country. That's nearly 1 in 4 foreign companies, and the reasons are strikingly similar. Unpredictable regulations, sudden legal cases, surprise fines, and a system where contracts can collapse without warning. Take Xiaomi, for example, the Chinese smartphone giant that once dominated India's mobile market. In 2022, the government accused it of foreign exchange violations, froze nearly $700 million of its assets, and hit it with massive fines. To this day, Xiaomi is still locked in legal battles. From tech to manufacturing to energy, companies are learning a hard lesson. India may have huge potential, but that potential comes with enormous risk. Here's the paradox. India should be one of the most attractive investment destinations in the world. It has everything: a huge population, rapid urbanization, rising middle class, and endless demand for infrastructure, energy, and technology. Yet the very investors who could help accelerate its growth are being driven away by an unpredictable business environment. If even billion-dollar deals, backed by governments and global corporations, can dissolve into years of lawsuits and unpaid bills, what chance do smaller investors have? For India, this isn't just about one power plant or one smartphone company. It's about trust. And without trust, no economy, no matter how big or promising, can reach its full potential. So, is India sabotaging its own rise as an economic powerhouse? Or are these just growing pains, the kind of messy challenges every rising superpower faces on its way up? The answer may depend on whether India can create a fairer, more predictable system that protects both local and foreign partners alike. Because opportunity alone isn't enough. To truly rise, India has to prove it can keep the trust of the world's investors. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more deep dive stories into global economics and geopolitics. But now I want to hear from you. Is India's investment climate simply too risky? Or is this the natural turbulence of a country on the rise? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.